Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some book recommendations that are my current favorites that I've been obsessed with, and I want to tell you guys because I just think they're really great. So the first one we're going to start off with is Red, White, and Royal Blue. But this book is so good. I read this book in like 2 or 3 days, and it was just so good. So it follows Alex, who's the president of the United States' son, and Henry, who is part of the royal family. And it follows their love life and how they meet, how everything just happens, and it is honestly so good. I was obsessed. This is one of my favorite books, and I cried while reading this, and I just had a really hard time putting it down. I just think this book is so good, and it's so just amazing. I'm doing a really bad job at explaining this book, but it's a real, like, they don't like each other at first, and then they fall for each other, and it's really good. I'm sorry. So the next book I have is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. If you read this book, you know what I'm gonna say. This is a complete tearjerker, and once again I cried while reading this. It was so just unexpected what happens. There's a real like plot twist. There's a real turn of events. Honestly, I didn't even read the back when I went into this. I didn't even read the blurb or anything. I just went into it, and it was just so good. And it follows Evelyn Hugo and her rise to fame and how she gets there and what she does and who she marries to get there, while having this forbidden love at the time, because I think this was it was old Hollywood, so I think like 50s to present day. So it follows just her story and what she did to become a successful actor, while also having this love that at the time was forbidden and she couldn't tell anyone. While I'm gonna cry while thinking about it, but it was just, I think the part that's really just amazing about this is how unexpected it is, especially if you go into it not reading the blurb like I did. You're gonna be really surprised. It's just so good. I really don't know what else to say. I promise I'm gonna get better with explaining these books, but read it if you haven't. It's been all over TikTok, and it deserves it because it's beautiful. Okay, so the next series I have for you, actually I haven't done any series, so this is the first series, is the Selection series. And I've only read the 3 books. I haven't read the ones about the daughter, but I read the first 3, and I read them in 3 days, the whole series. And it was so good. So it follows America, and she goes into this book is like a cast. It's just, I don't want to say cast, but if you've seen the Hunger Games, you know that there's like the different, I'm gonna read the blurb for you because the past 2 haven't really gotten one. I think you guys need a proper explanation. The opportunity to be swept up in a world of glittering gowns and priceless jewels, to live in a palace and compete for the heart of the gorgeous Prince Maxon. But for America Singer, being selected is a nightmare. It means turning her back on her secret love with Aspen, who is a caste below her, and leaving her home to enter a fierce competition for a crown she doesn't want. Then America meets Prince Maxon. Gradually, she begins to realize that the life she's always dreamed of may not compare to the future she never imagined. And I think that it's just a really sweet story. I think this story is just really, I'm trying to use another word, but I can't think of one right now. And it's a really quick read. You could honestly read this whole series in a day. And I think that it's just a really comforting book in a way. This is definitely like my comfort series, and I'm gonna reread this again because I'm really excited to now read it. So I think I'm gonna read this again. But yeah, if that little blurb doesn't make you want to read it, then I don't know what will, because I think you just see a lot about how like much America doesn't want it, and how she goes into it with a real like negative mindset. And Aspen, who gets on my nerves so much because I don't really want to say anything, but if you read it, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't have all the books in the series. I have 4, and they're pretty heavy. But it is the Throne of Glass series. So here are the 4. I'm currently on the last book of the series. And I began the series last summer, and I'm currently on the last book. And the thing with these books is they purposely make the pages thinner than a normal book because there's so many pages. And it's such a good series, and I think that the love that happens is really unexpected, and you don't really see it coming because the first few books, it's all focused on like these 1 or 2 people, and then this person. See, the issue is I don't want to give anything away, but there's also a lot of action in the series, so it's not just like a cute love. I think there's a lot of like anger and aggression and violence and war, and it's just such a good series. And I'm currently on the last book, like I've said before. I haven't started it yet, and I don't want to start it because I don't want the series to be over. Like, if you're not into like a just romance book, there's a lot of action and war, and there's a lot of witches, there's creatures, there's magic. It follows this girl whose name's Selena. She is 17 when it starts, I'm pretty sure, and she kills people, and she's like the best. She's like the best of the best, I guess. And she becomes a slave, and one day the king starts this like, I can't remember the word. My mind's going blank because it's been a while since I read this. It's been like over a year. So he puts up this like competition, so who can become his main killer. And in this competition, there's like people randomly dying, and so she goes and she finds out what's happening, and she finds it's like, that's the beginning. That's the first, like, I don't want to say what happens because I don't want to spoil it for anyone because it's a pretty hefty series. This is like half the series, and I just recommend to read it because it's so good. It's definitely a long read because this is half the series, like I've said multiple times, but it's really good. It's completely worth it, and I don't regret it. So here we go. I have another series for you guys, and before you turn this video off, just stick with me for a minute. It's the After series by Anna Todd, and before you leave, let me explain. I don't think I've ever read a book with this much character development. And I know people, it's a very toxic relationship. It's very, very toxic. I am not saying this is what you want in a relationship because I don't think no one wants this in a relationship. But the way that it ends makes it worth it in a way. And I actually haven't read the before. I haven't read this part of the series, but I've read the other 4 books. And if you've seen the movie, read the books because the movie does not do the books justice. There is so much more that happens, and you get their personal perspectives, what's going on in their head. The bet is different, you know, and I think the book is a lot worse in a way that it's more toxic, and you know, the relationship is completely like out of the range of the movie, because the movie, it's still not it's still not like a good relationship, but the book, there is so much more that happens, and you really just need to read the series because the movie does not do it justice. And I saw the movie before I read the books, and I remember being like, oh, the movie's okay, like I didn't have anything to base it off of, but then I saw on Instagram, it was like, you have to read the book, you know, you have to read the series. So I literally ordered the series that night, and I read the series in like a week. It's pretty impressive because, I mean, it's a pretty big series, and it's definitely one that I'm gonna reread. I read it like 2 months ago, and it's so good. I threw the book across the room a few times, maybe more, because there's a lot of betrayal too, and her like hatred, and it follows this girl named Tessa who goes to college, and she is pretty innocent, and she's pretty at first she's like this like good girl, I guess you can say, and she goes to college, and her roommate is the complete opposite, and her roommate is like full of tattoos, and she like goes to parties and everything, and while Tess is like the complete opposite. And so she starts hanging out with her roommate named Steph, who takes Tessa to these parties where she meets Hardin, who Hardin is the boy in the book. So and I think also this book doesn't follow the typical like good girl bad boy, because I don't think Tessa's that much of a good girl in a sense, because she does some kind of not great things. So I feel like in the beginning she's definitely like this like pinned out to be this like good girl, but she's not. But it just follows this love that from both like abusive past, and they find this like love for each other. And also Hardin is a lot worse in this book, in the book series, which in the movie he's kind of like this like bad boy, which he just like has really bad communication problems and little anger issues. But in the book he is like off the rails. Like he like, it's just, you just need to read the book. That's all I'm gonna say. The last book that I'm gonna recommend to you guys is the Elle Kennedy book series, Off Campus. Now I've only read the first one, so I can only speak for the first one. Now I'm gonna put a trigger warning. It does have sexual assault in it. You know, you don't have to read it. The other books don't have it from what I've seen. I'm currently starting the second book. In the series, if you read the series, it follows this like hockey team, and like each book is a different member of the hockey team and their love life, and it's just really cute. It's just a really good series. I really recommend it. Even though I only read the first one, I'm currently on the second one. I'm about to start the second one. I hope you guys liked it. I will go into more in depth of them next time, because I've recently started a book journal so I can write down what happens. I have no journal for any of these, so I'm trying to go off memory when it's been a few months since I read them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll have more book recommendations coming soon, and I love you. Bye.